Hello, everyone. How are you? Happy Friday. My name is Reza Supandi, and I'm a product marketing manager here at MicroStrategy. I want to thank everyone for joining today's top tip session hosted by your MicroStrategy support team. Now, this session will begin momentarily, but first, I want to share a few quick housekeeping items before we get started. First off, I want to encourage everyone to use our YouTube Live chat feature on your right hand side, on your desktop, or below if you're watching us on mobile. You can use it to submit questions throughout the presentation, so no need to wait at the end if you have any questions that pop up whenever you guys have them. We're going to have a Q&A section at the end, of course, but we're going to go to the questions that you all submit, and we're going to go through all of them as we do every month. And also, as a reminder, this session will be recorded and shared afterwards. So I encourage that in your questions, you refrain from sharing any technical specifications unique to your environment and system during the Q&A section. But you can always contact your MicroStrategy support team if you have further assistance specific to your environment. For today's session, we're joined by a group of our library experts. You're going to hear from Amir Sultani, our senior lead from the North American support team. Now, Amir will be sharing with you all an overview of MicroStrategy Library installation and configuration processes, and he will also share several tips and tricks to avoid any common pitfalls. We'll also have Holly Stevens with us today. She's our product manager from our technology team who will share some key features in the product roadmap, as well as Anahi Serrano, who is our senior education consultant to share additional courses to help you learn more about this topic. We also have Carolina, another member of our global support team, behind the scenes reviewing any of the questions posted in the YouTube live chat throughout the presentation so that our experts can answer them for you during our Q&A at the end of the presentation. Before we get into our content, though, I'd like to remind you that today's presentation covers our latest platform release, MicroStrategy 2021. MicroStrategy 2021 is an enterprise-grade platform where you can leverage modern analytics on any device of your choosing and take advantage of an open architecture, as well as be sure that you'll deliver trusted answers quickly with sophisticated security at an enterprise scale. But most importantly, you can leverage our modern analytics in your library on any supported devices of your choice. There's a lot of new, significant library enhancements to discover for yourselves in our MicroStrategy 2021 release, and to analyze your data in a modern way in MicroStrategy Web, Library, Workstation, and on mobile devices, as well as to collaborate with any other MicroStrategy users in your organization. And finally, I want to mention that Library also follows our platform support lifecycle. So, at the end of the year is coming up, and with that, the end of support for MicroStrategy 2019. So it's very important to begin planning your upgrade and to begin utilizing the latest version of MicroStrategy Library. And with that, I would like to hand it over to Amir to share his expertise on MicroStrategy Library. How you doing, Amir? Happy Friday.
Hi, Reza. Thank you. And happy Friday to everyone joining us. My name is Amir Sultani, and I am currently a senior lead at MicroStrategy. As mentioned, today I will be discussing the installation and setup for MicroStrategy Library and Collaboration Server, as well as some common challenges our clients face and how to mitigate them. So what purpose does MicroStrategy Library fulfill? MicroStrategy Library is a web-based application that allows you to view, present, and analyze dossiers or documents that are added to your library. Library includes the infrastructure needed to support each new dossier or document that is shared with your users, so the application developers only need to focus on creating robust analytic applications once that can be consumed across any client interface. MicroStrategy Library also uses an on-demand form of application deployment. As such, changes made by dossier or document authors are quickly reflected in each user's library without any additional action by the content consumer. Lastly, MicroStrategy Library is a viewing platform for dossiers and documents that promotes cross-functional collaboration in real time. Now, how exactly does MicroStrategy Library application differ from the MicroStrategy Web application? In MicroStrategy Web, users can create standalone objects, view dossiers, documents, and reports In addition, they can create and use personalized views, curate and organize all their content, view content on a single project basis, and simple search for content locally. In MicroStrategy Library, we've incorporated a modernized appearance to increase the aesthetic. The application is fully responsive across different platforms, including desktop clients, mobile devices, and tablets. Business users can view both dossiers and documents in the library application, share bookmarks with personalized views, and organize their content across groups. You can also view content on a multiple or cross-project basis, implement cover pages on your dossier for branding purposes, as well as a full metadata search capability across your entire environment. Lastly, the authoring of dossiers in library is on the product roadmap for Q4, which we'll discuss more in depth later in this webinar. Now, what are some of the key features of MicroStrategy Library? The first we'll discuss is bookmarks. Bookmarks allow you to save personal views unique to analysis. In addition to filters, bookmarks store a series of manipulations, such as in-canvas filtering, drilling, or sorting on top of a dossier. You can easily save and view multiple bookmarks. You can rename bookmarks easily by clicking the edit button. In addition, users can share their bookmarks with recipients of their choosing, who can then add these bookmarks to their personalized libraries. This further promotes collaboration and team building across organizations and departments. Next, we'll discuss the collaboration feature of Library, which allows users to collaborate with each other via discussion threads or comments that can be made within the dossier document interface. Anyone who can access a dossier or document via the MicroStrategy Library application can add comments that are specific to that dossier. Users can ask questions and call attention to specific data points on the dossier itself. With collaboration, users can share personal views of dossiers in real time, tag users with comments, and push notifications to users' mobile devices in addition to their client machines. The last feature we'll touch on is the MicroStrategy app. The MicroStrategy app is a premier viewing tool which leverages much of the same functionality of Library, plus a few additional features. Its purpose is to enhance speed, performance, and accessibility of your content, as well as incorporate a modernized look and feel to the consumption of your dossiers. We load the dossier content and have it ready before you even think to open it. With features like smart download and automatic refresh, the app predicts and proactively downloads content to meet the needs of individual user preferences, all the while capitalizing on the power of desktop to cache the latest data updates and integrate them across pages. Our business users experience up to 60% faster loading times in MicroStrategy app than Library Web. You can also take your data to go with offline mode. The app stores the latest content downloads in order to prepare to have your content ready offline. Users can also add as many libraries as they want using the MicroStrategy app, and they only have to do this once. After adding the new library to the app, we remember the library and credentials using the Remember Me function. All you must do is simply switch between the environments to view the content. As we've touched on the purpose of MicroStrategy Library and its key features, we'll now transition and discuss the installation and setup of the library application. Now, before we go into the details of installing and configuring MicroStrategy Library, we'd like to discuss its prerequisites. Without these requirements in place, the application cannot be deployed or used. As a result, the most important thing to note is that MicroStrategy 2019 Update 1 is the minimum version required for MicroStrategy Library. The certified Apache Tomcat configurations are 8.5.x and 9.0.x, in addition to JBoss 7.3.x. First, Library and your intelligence server must be on the same version of MicroStrategy. Additionally, we recommend that all components of MicroStrategy be on congruent version as to align with our best practices. It's worth noting that MicroStrategy Library is accessible and functional on all major web browsers, which includes Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and Edge. We recommend that you maintain upkeep on your web browser and run the latest updates in order to leverage the full capabilities of MicroStrategy Library. The beauty of MicroStrategy Library is that our users can access their data from multiple touchpoints: computers, cellular devices, tablets, and so on. This also includes MicroStrategy Mobile Library, which is available in the App Store for both iOS and Android devices. The library admin page contains the mobile configuration link for for Mobile Library, making it easy for our users to set up their applications. That sums up the library prerequisites. Next, we'll discuss the workflow for installing MicroStrategy Library. Now, the first step in the workflow will be to initiate the MicroStrategy install by running the setup.exe file. This is referred to as the setup.sh file in Linux environments. When you arrive at the MicroStrategy components page, you will just need to ensure the MicroStrategy library field is enabled. This is checked by default. Please note that MicroStrategy Library will have to run on a JSP web server. Most common is Tomcat, which is shipped out of box with the installation of our product. If the installation does not complete successfully, please review the install.log for more detailed errors in order to move forward accordingly. So you've successfully installed the MicroStrategy software and all of its components, including MicroStrategy Library. You're now ready to configure the library application, but how can you start this process? The first step in the configuration workflow is to access the library admin page by entering either the fully qualified domain name, localhost, or IP in the URL address of your web browser. You can add your collaboration server by entering the machine name as well as a port number. Please note, port 3000 is the out-of-box default value, but this can be changed to a value of your choosing, which we'll discuss a bit later. The next step would be to establish a working connection to your intelligence server, which will also require a machine name and port number, in addition to defining the TLS status. Once the intelligence server connection has been created, users can navigate to the library server tab in which they can view their library application URL, add their web server URL for seamless authentication, configure security settings and authentication modes, and access their mobile configuration link, which they can use to set up mobile library on their end users' devices. Next, we'll show a demo in which it'll walk through the configuration of your library application after a successful installation.
Hi, my name is Amir Sultani, and during today's tutorial, we'll be walking through the setup of MicroStrategy Library. So, you've successfully installed the MicroStrategy software and all of its components, including MicroStrategy Library. You're now ready to configure the library application, but how can you start this process? The first step in the configuration workflow is to access the library admin page by entering either the fully qualified domain name, FQDN for short, localhost, or IP in the URL address of your web browser. From here, I am prompted for credentials, which you can find in the Tomcat-users XML, which is located in the configuration folder of your Tomcat directory. Now, as you can see here, my username is admin with no password. So I will navigate to my web browser, type in admin as the username, no password, and I'm redirected to the admin page. The next step is to establish a working connection to your intelligence server, which will require a machine name, a port number, and defining the TLS status. Once the intelligence server connection has been created, users can navigate to the library server tab in which they can view their library application URL, add their web server URL for seamless authentication, which we will discuss later in this module. They can also view their security settings, configure and view their authentication modes, and lastly, access their mobile configuration link, which they can use to set up mobile library on their end users' devices. From here, you can navigate to your library application and log in as a user or as an administrator. And voila, You are now ready to start using MicroStrategy Library to view your documents and dossiers, collaborate with your team, and more.
Now, some of you may have noticed that the Library Hub was empty at the end of the video. It's worth noting that this is expected behavior as Library differs from Web in this aspect. More specifically, in Web, when you connect to your intelligence server, you can then access all your projects and content instantaneously. In Library, however, dossiers and documents will only appear in the Library interface after being published to the application by you. Now, you may be asking yourself why that is. The reason is because Library serves as your personal hub. In MicroStrategy Web, when you access a project, you will see all the content that's contained in the project folder. However, it's possible that the entirety of the data is not directly relevant to you or your team. As a result, you can use MicroStrategy Library and add only the dashboards that you'd like to see in one consolidated location. Now that we've discussed the prerequisites, setup, and configuration of MicroStrategy Library, we'll shift our focus to the collaboration server. As it pertains to the prerequisites for collaboration, you'll just need to ensure the Node.js version is 12.x, as well as PostgreSQL 11.x, both of which are installed and shipped with the MicroStrategy installation. You can enable the collaboration server during the process of running the installation or setup.sh in Linux environments by checking the box which is located under the MicroStrategy Library components field. Lastly, it's worth noting that if MicroStrategy Library and collaboration are installed on the same machine, collaboration will be auto-configured for you, in which you don't have to manually enter the machine name in the admin page of Library in order to establish a connection to the tool. Now that collaboration server has been successfully installed, it's time to configure it. The first step in this process will be to navigate to the Library admin page and add the collaboration server by specifying the machine name and default port for communication. Please note, port 3000 is the default port that is configured for the collaboration server out of box. If you'd like to change the default port for communication of the collaboration server, you can do it through the Library admin GUI directly or by modifying the config.json directly. As stated previously, the default port is 3000. However, if I select the Edit button in the Overview tab, you will notice that you are able to change the value accordingly. Now, to establish trusted communication between your Library server and collaboration server, the secret key value in the config.json, which is the collaboration server configuration file, must match the value of the identity token.secretKey parameter in the config override.properties, which is the Library configuration file. Library and collaboration use the keys to verify each other's identity. If the keys do not match, the Library server cannot talk to the collaboration server. Next, we'll show a demo in which we configure the collaboration server after successfully configuring Library.
Hi, in this tutorial, we'll be walking through the setup of your collaboration server. The first step in this process will be to navigate to the Library admin page and add the collaboration server by specifying the machine name and default port for communication. Please note, port 3000 is the default port that is configured for the collaboration server out of box. If you'd like to change the default port for communication of the collaboration server, you can do it directly via the Library admin GUI by selecting the Edit button in the collaboration box, or manually by editing the config.json file, which is a collaboration server configuration file. So, we've established a working connection to the collaboration server. Great! You can now navigate to the collaboration server tab to verify its state, configure security settings and TLS, as well as enable/disable certain features the product offers. You can hide these fields for users by toggling off the Expose to Users slider. To establish trusted communication between your library server and collaboration server, the secret key value in the config.json has to match the identity token.secret key value in the config override.properties file. Library and collaboration use the keys to verify each other's identity. If the keys do not match, the library server cannot talk to the collaboration server. Think of this as a password of some sort. Now that you've successfully configured your collaboration server, users can collaborate with each other via discussion threads or comments that can be made within the dossier document interface. Anyone who can access a dossier via MicroStrategy Library can add comments that are specific to that dossier. Users can ask questions and call attention to specific data points on the dossier itself. All comments are saved on the discussion thread, and users who have access to the dossier can see the entire string of comments with timestamps.
Great. Now that we've discussed the setup and configuration for both the MicroStrategy Library and collaboration server, we'll discuss and walk through some of the common challenges our clients face, as well as tips to avoid or mitigate them. The first item we'll touch on is redeploying the WAR file for MicroStrategy Library. After installing an update for your MicroStrategy iteration or platform, you may notice the status page does not accurately reflect the build number for your library server. You can also reach the status page for library by clicking the About link at the bottom of the library admin page, located right under the button for Launch Library. In order to correct this, a manual redeployment of the library WAR file is required. The updated WAR file is contained Manual redeployment of the library WAR file is required. The updated WAR file is contained in the install path/library directory. We recommend that you stop your web application server during this process for security and operational purposes. Once the web application server is stopped, copy the updated WAR file to the Tomcat Web Apps folder and initialize Tomcat. Upon starting up your web application server and navigating to the library status page, you will see that MicroStrategy Library's build number now reflects the latest version and update, allowing you to move forward with the confidence that the product is up to date with the latest features. Next, let's shift our focus to another common challenge our users face, which is the creation of the trust token in library. When you navigate to your library server tab via the admin panel, you'll see all the modes of authentication available for library in a drop-down list. After selecting trusted, it's likely your initial reaction will be to save, in which you'll be met with a window that states, configuration has been saved successfully. Please restart the web server for changes to take effect. Upon restarting, you'll notice that you cannot successfully establish a trusted relationship, as both the options standard and LDAP are unavailable. The reason being is that no other modes of authentication can be enabled concurrent to trusted. Please note that for SSOs such as SAML and OIDC, you can in fact enable standard in parallel. Please note, this workflow has been simplified in MicroStrategy 2021 Update 3, in which the trust token can still be created while standard is disabled. Though the process has been simplified, we still recommend following these steps sequentially to create the trust token. First, enable trusted authentication in the checkbox menu. Next, select Create Trusted Relationship. From there, create trust token using standard or LDAP. Once the trust has been established, click Save and restart your web application server for the changes to take effect. Next, we'll discuss the configuration of seamless authentication. Essentially, there are two ways to configure seamless authentication. The first would be through the library and web GUIs respectively. Alternatively, you can do this manually by modifying the config override.properties file and sysdefaults.properties file. The latter involves copying the token value from the identity token.secret key parameter located in the config override.properties file and pasting it in the identity token secret key field, which is contained in the sysdefaults properties file. A subtle but key difference is that the sysdefaults properties parameter does not contain periodization. Therefore, a common behavior we've observed is the copying of the entire string, which includes the token value and parameter name, and pasting it in the sysdefault.properties file, which modifies not only the token, but also the parameter name, thereby breaking the workflow as the parameter name should not be changed. As a result, in order to avoid this, you can copy just the identity.secret key value from the config override.properties file and paste it in the sysdefault.properties parameter named identity token secret key. In order to optimize and simplify this process, we've implemented a GUI-based workflow that allows users to complete this directly from MicroStrategy Web and library interfaces, which we'll touch on in the next slide. Now, in order to configure seamless authentication via the web GUI, you'll first copy the identity token.secret key value from the config override.properties, then open the web admin page, select security from the left side navigation, paste the secret key value, select save, and restart the web server. From here, you'll see the change has been written to the sysdefault.properties file automatically for you. Please note, if the secret key is not available in the config.override.properties file out of box, you can add any phrase or passcode to the parameter to be used as a secret key in the library server panel. A secret key should be between 5 and 30 characters long. So, for an example, you just completed your MicroStrategy installation and open the config override.properties file, but don't see an identity token.secret key parameter or value. You can then navigate to the library admin page, library server tab, and then configure a secret key according to our guidelines. We've recently published a video which walks through the seamless login configuration step by step. This will be shared in a supplementary email following this webinar. As we discuss some common pitfalls for the MicroStrategy Library application, let's now shift our focus and discuss ways you can debug your collaboration server in the event you encounter any issues. It's worth noting that the default deployment for the collab server is in the MicroStrategy Log Collaboration Server directory. To enable advanced logging for the collab server, you will set the logging field to true in the config.json in the MicroStrategy collaboration path, and then you will restart the service using the services application in the control panel. You can verify the state, build, and socket version of the collab server by navigating to the status page. The construct of the URL will be your fully qualified domain name, the port configured for collaboration. In this instance, that value is 3000, which is the default out-of-box value, and /status. In addition to the log files, MicroStrategy installations provide a command line diagnostic tool for troubleshooting collaboration connection issues. Common errors that are found via the diagnostic tool include the collaboration server showing as stopped, in which this means the collaboration server is not running. You'll need to start the collaboration server and rerun the diagnostic tool. Also, the collaboration server shows as paused, authorization server not connected. One potential cause would be the authorization server hostname is found, but the hostname is not accessible. In this instance, we recommend verifying that the port number is correct. Another potential cause may be that the authorization server hostname port is accessible, however, it's not a library web server. Most likely the URL being used is incorrect, even though the hostname and port name are correct. Next, we'd like to discuss the warnings and errors you may encounter when configuring library and collab server. The first is a warning which states the secret keys do not match. Essentially, library and collaboration server need to be set up with the same secret key in order to verify the other server's identity. If the secret keys do not match, library cannot talk to the collaboration server. Next is a warning that states, can't establish socket connection from browser to collaboration. In some cases, library can speak to the collaboration server, but the end user's browser may fail to establish communication to the server. One issue could be that the administrator uses a host name, such as localhost, for the machine name when configuring the collaboration server via the library admin GUI page. In those instances, The host name is only recognized by the library server and not accessible from other end users, machines, and browsers. Continuing on. Next is a warning that states, warning, the collaboration is not targeted at the current library server. Once again, this is merely a warning. What's happening is that the collaboration server is talking to a different library server. The current library server is okay to use. However, potential issues may arise when the two library servers provide different data, so please bear this in mind. The last item is an error message that states, error, the collaboration server is not targeted at the current library server, and the target library server is not reachable. In this scenario, the collaboration-related features in library are not usable as the collaboration server is paused due to this error. The administrator may choose to use the current library server as a target for this collaboration server. Now that we've discussed the installation and configuration of both MicroStrategy Library and Collaboration Server, as well as common pitfalls and how to resolve them, I'll now pass this off to Holly Stevens, who will outline the technology roadmap for MicroStrategy Library.
Awesome. Thanks, Amir. And hello, everyone. So we're going to be going into roadmap now. So as mentioned really early, I am Holly Stevens. So I'm our product manager here for Library, Library Mobile, and Collaboration. So all the good stuff. So let's get into it. To start, what we'll go over is our portfolio. So if you're not familiar with Library as it exists today, we do have three main products. We have Library Web, which was, traditionally what everyone uses. If you're on a web application, you want that modern viewing experience. We have Library Mobile, which is available for iOS and Android. Pretty powerful. We have the smart download, the predictive caching on that as well. But then we also took performance one step further last year and invented the MicroStrategy app, which is essentially just Library Web for desktop, but it also capitalizes on that power of desktop, right? So we're doing all that background caching and making sure your content is downloaded for you. And we see, loading times to be about 60% faster than Library Web. So if you haven't used the MicroStrategy app today, definitely try it out. We use it all the time here and we love it. All right, so what will we go over today and kind of what will I be explaining to you? First, we'll go through what we've released in 2021 to date. So I'll show you a few features that we've released and are ready to go. And then I'm going to kind of take you through the roadmap for, Q4, Q1 tentatively, so you can see what you can expect from us in the next few releases. All right, so to get into it, the first feature that we'll show you was released with 2021. And the first feature is what we kind of call specify the default open view in Library. So if you go to Library today, the default is that if I'm looking at, a dossier and then I go back to Library Home and I go back to that dossier, it preserves the last viewed state that I was on. So if I went to page 2 and I open it up again, I'm still on page 2. But we got a lot of requests from our customers that they wanted to define if that dossier would always open back at what we call the last authored state, which means that it would always go back to the base view or how it was saved by the author. So what we've done is you can turn the setting on at a couple of levels, at the environment level, at the project level, and then lastly at the content level, which means that maybe across my library, I'm going to leave it as default view. It can go back to where end users, were before. But for one specific dossier, maybe you've designed it more like an application. And that means that you can change it to last authored state, meaning it would always go back to that saved page rather than the last viewed state of the end user. So if we go to this next page real quick, you can see the drop downs. So I'll have open with the default level setting, which was what I just explained, always open with the last saved dossier, which saved is what the author saved it as, or again, you can define that it just always opens with the last viewed dossier. All right. Next, a video is going to play while I'm talking, but you might know that Library Admin today exists in Web. Amir kind of showed a few options on that. We also brought Library Admin into Workstation. So if you're not familiar with Workstation, it is our one tool for all of admin. So we thought it just made sense for library administration to also be here. The web page still does exist, but you can just use Workstation as well. So you can see here, if I am in maintenance mode of an environment, I can go to library and configure those servers. And then once I exit maintenance mode, I'm going to go back, connect to the environment. And when you right mouse click and say get info, there's going to be a new library blade under the environment that I can then see all the settings that existed in the web page here. Again, this is just to streamline, and in case you are doing a lot of work as an admin in Workstation, we also want it to be here. And you can see here we have the related content settings, so you can drop down and change that. And then you'll also have the collaboration settings as you would have in the page on web. All right, and one of the last features that I wanted to show you that has already been delivered and you can use today is transforming the dossier data into an Excel worksheet. So you can see here that a user's in library, maybe they're going through a few pages. Now before this release, and this was just released in the last update, you could only export grids to Excel. But now you can see here, if I go to export to Excel, I can actually change the range to be this entire dossier, which means that we'll export not only the grid data, but also data of all the visualizations to Excel. And you can see here that all this exported data has been exported in separate tabs, making it really easy to go from one to another and see that data that you have now. Really powerful. A lot of customers were excited about this. So yeah, really expanding export options. So now we're going to go into the roadmap, which is my favorite piece. So what's coming up next and what can you expect from us that's currently not in product? Again, safe harbor, a lot of this stuff is under design and development. So keep that in mind that some of these timelines might change. But the first piece I'm going to show you is what we're calling library authoring. So today, typically, if you want to author anything, dossiers, documents, reports, you'd go to MicroStrategy Web. But one of MicroStrategy's main strategies on product is bringing a lot of our users from MicroStrategy Web to Library Web, right? And the first piece of that was allowing analysts to not only view content, but easily edit in Library. If you've used Library today, you know if you click that edit button, it actually pops you out to MicroStrategy Web. But with this new feature, you're going to stay right in Library. You can see the new modern view. You're going to have all the functionality that MicroStrategy Web had, so you can add data, add a page, chapter, make changes to visualizations, and then you can see I can save. And as soon as I save, I can return back to the consumption mode, making it really seamless. And if we go to this next slide real quick, you can see that you still have save as, so you can save the existing dossier, save it as a new one. You can also certify from Library, which is super nice. If you have that privilege, you can make changes, keep that dossier certified, all within Library. All right, so the next two features that I'm going to go over, they kind of go hand in hand. And the first one is called content bundles, and the second one is called custom applications, both of which we're designing to allow organizations to really curate a more personalized and customized experience for different groups of users. So if we get into content bundles, what this is essentially a new object in Workstation that will allow you as an administrator to push groups of content, whether that's dossiers and documents, if you see in the next slide here, to different users and user groups. So maybe I name this bundle sales, and then I'm going to add dossiers and documents specific for my sales team. And then if we head on to the next slide, once I define that content, I can actually add those specific groups and users right away. And what this means is that once I click save and I send this content bundle to those users, you can actually see in the next slide that they're going to get a notification, which this is an example. So a content bundle has been pushed to you. So maybe I sent Amir a couple content bundles. And then in Library, if you go to the next slide, you'll see that not only do you have my groups, which exist today, which is awesome, and users can create their own groups as they wish, but you see that default groups section, which is brand new. So those are the groups that I've defined as an admin that I think are important to my sales team. And once that's in Library, they can't remove it. It's there to stay. So if you're kind of trying to lock content in for specific groups of users, you're good to go. This will be really helpful for you. All right, so that was one piece of what we're calling custom applications. So you can now define content for your users, but what if you want to take it one step further and start to customize Library? That is what we're calling custom applications. So what I just showed you was bundles, which is a new object in Workstation as well. You're also going to have this concept of applications now, which is another object that you can create. And essentially, it's just a unique library look and feel for different users and user groups. So maybe I go in, I want to create an application for, again, let's say sales. I can choose what the home screen will look like. So I can choose to keep that default library like we're used to, or I can define a dossier or document as a home screen. And that's important because you might notice that we've had this for mobile in the past, but we're bringing it to Library Web and the MicroStrategy app. So you can have that really nice home screen or dossier that might be, made to look like an application. Maybe that's what you want your users to land on. You can also, as you can see, toggle on and off components. So maybe you don't want your users to have access to collaboration. You can easily just turn that off, all without the use of SDK, right? We're all in Workstation right now. And then if you go to the next screen, we're going to show you kind of what a dossier might look like if you defined it as the home screen, right? So you can see here that the author designed this to have buttons and images that, use contextual linking to go to different pages, and then you might go back to a home page. But we've seen really unique and kind of innovative options here that our customers have used. And they don't really need their users to go to library default. They just want them to stay within this dossier to get all of their data. So a lot of different things you can use with this new feature. Next, this is an exciting one. So subscriptions. Like I said, we're trying to bring a lot of our customers to Modern Library from MicroStrategy Web, and one piece of that will be subscriptions. So if you go to the next slide, what you'll see is that from Library Home, you'll be able to manage all the subscriptions that you've already been subscribed to. So let's say that maybe my admin or my team has already sent me a few subscriptions. I'll see them all here. But what Library also does is we're going to allow the end user to create new subscriptions. So you can see here from the share menu, I can actually subscribe to a dossier. You're going to be able to choose a bookmark. So maybe I want to subscribe, here we've been using product as an example. So I might subscribe to features that are ready for validation. I can choose for it to be PDF or Excel, and then I can schedule it. But the really cool thing is that I can subscribe it for myself. So maybe I want to subscribe it to, myself every Friday at 8 a.m., but you'll also be able to subscribe others to what you want them to see. So maybe I want to subscribe Amir to it as well. He'll also get that email with the Excel file. And then, as you already saw, the final thing that we are bringing, which is actually a really exciting one, is undo redo, which if you've used Library to this point, it's kind of crazy that we don't have it, but we are bringing it. So if you drill, if you use contextual linking, you'll be able to go back and forth between your actions. A really big one, as you can see here, is if I apply a bookmark, sometimes I want to go back to a previous one just to compare data. You'll be able to easily do that. So again, a lot of exciting and modern things coming for Library, and that's just right now in the next 2 releases. If you are a customer and you want to know what we're doing, in the long-term pipeline, make sure to set up a meeting with your account executive and product, because we love to talk to you guys. But that is just about it for roadmap that we're kind of showing that sneak peek for. So our next section is actually going to be education. So we have Anahi here. She's great. She's going to take you through all of the courses and options that we have. So I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, Holly. Hi, everybody. My name is Anahi Serrano, and I'm a senior education consultant with MicroStrategy. If we can go to the next slide. Now, in education, we have over 50 courses available. They're offered as live instruction and self-paced learning with course recordings and e-learnings. And they cover the range of features and tools that are available in MicroStrategy, like we've been talking about throughout this webinar. Now, depending on your needs, we have 2 passes available. We have the Analyst Pass, which covers an introduction to our reporting objects, data science, and customization. And then we have the Architect Pass, which you have in that pass available the entire catalog, all the certifications, and also have access to Expert.now, which is a feature that allows you to talk with our internal people if you have any questions. If we can go to the next slide, these courses that we've listed here are some of the courses that we're offering if you're interested in training in areas that we've covered today. Now, we've talked about library navigation. We've talked about how you can use it. We also looked at the roadmap about different ways that we're going to incorporate new features. So if you have not yet had a chance to look at our navigation, we encourage you to check out the dashboarding with dossiers and visualizations. That's going to cover that first initial library navigation, and where you're going to see a lot of those different components available. Now, for the administration side that we also covered in the webinar, we are recommending taking 2021.311 Administration for Enterprise Analytics, where we cover administration and then go into also library administration in that course. And we also are encouraging to take the Platform Administrator Configuration Managing and Optimizing, which goes into more of the high level troubleshooting that we were talking about in this course as well. So I hope to see you guys in our education classes. And now let's move on to the Q&A that's going to be led by Reza.
All right. Thank you so much, Nahi. So now that we have talked about library, how to set up, how to configure, let's go ahead and bring all of our experts back so that we can get Q&A started. All right. Hello, Holly, Nahi, Amir, welcome back. So, one of our favorite parts about this webinar is that we get to do this Q&A session. So let's get started. I see that there's already been some questions that has been submitted. So we have quite some time to go through them all. So please feel free to continue adding your questions to anyone that's here, that's watching the webinar. And let's go ahead and go to our first one. So what do we have for the first one here? We're going to put it as a banner so that everyone can see the question and we can get our experts to cancel it. So the first one is from Dwight. How you doing, Dwight? Thank you so much for stopping by to our webinar today. And his question is, are the names of the collab server logs different on Linux? So who will be the first one to go ahead and take this question?
I can take this question. The collaboration server logs will have the same name on Linux environments.
Okay. Simple question, simple answer. Perfect. All right. And the next question is by Dwight again. All right. So, Holly, first off, MicroStrategy roadmap is looking very good and exciting. I have a question, though. If I add a user to one of my groups, will they automatically get the content bundles?
Yeah, so good question. So if you assign a content bundle to a specific user group, and then you add, maybe 2 weeks later, another user joins the team, they'll automatically get access to the content bundles. So you don't have to do anything else besides add that new user to the user group, and then you're good to go.
Okay, thank you so much, Holly, for answering that question. We're still going to wait for a couple more questions that are coming in. Please feel free to add them to the chat feature so we can go through that. We have some time here, so let's take advantage of it. Another one from Dwight. When will transactions be available for dossier? We really want to move away from transaction services documents. They want to have something more modern. Who can kind of touch on this?
Yeah, I can take that again. This is a question we get from a lot of our customers, so it's a good one. Transactions right now it's not on my team, but it's being actively worked on by the dossier authoring team. Right now, we're working to get it out within the next few releases, but it's really exciting. It's really smooth and it looks a lot more modern than we even used to have. So make sure to stay tuned. And like I said, if you are a customer and you ever want to have a roadmap session or even go through designs with us, we'd love to hear it. So make sure to just reach out to your account executive.
Thank you, Holly. All right, Dwight, keep them coming as much as you like. We have another question. All right, I see one here from Jeff, actually. How you doing, Jeff? Thank you so much for stopping by. His question is, our installation is still having issues with seamless authentication. We are seeing the HTTP status 404 not found. Who can we reach out to get this problem resolved?
I can take this question. Jeff, thank you so much for participation. We're so lucky to have you here and your question. And as it pertains to it, the best resource to reach out to would be our support team. So we recommend spawning a ticket with our support team, and our engineers will reach out and work with you to get this issue resolved and get configuration or seamless authentication configured accordingly.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Shamir. Yeah, Jeff, our support team is incredible. So if you have any questions specific to your environment, or you have any specific questions that you're running into, issues, please go ahead and raise a ticket, and then we can get that solved for you. All right. And the next question is, can I change content bundles at any time? Holly, I'm assuming you'll take this one.
Yeah, I can take this. So yes, the answer is simply yes. So if you want to change or remove any content bundles, the admin is the only person that can do that. So like we said, once you send a content bundle out to the end user, it is going to be locked in their library. But if you change it in Workstation, it will automatically just be updated.
Okay. Thank you, Holly. And another one, will library have alerts similar to the old mobile applications?
Another good one. So this is another one very similar to transactions, which has a lot of ERs. The answer is yes. Tentatively, we are working through some designs on this. But yeah, we're really excited. I don't want to kind of give everything away on a webinar, but you will be able to set alerts. But we're also taking it a step further. So it'll be a little bit more robust and innovative than you might have seen on our previous products. So really stay tuned.
All right, thanks, Holly. We have a couple more minutes for questions. So anyone who's on the webinar right now, please feel free to go ahead and add your questions so we can answer them live. All right, so we'll wait for a couple more seconds to see if we need to conclude the Q&A or if we have any more questions that come in. All right, we have another one from Dwight, it looks like. Do you know if there are any known issues in library on MicroStrategy 2021 Update 3? My team is prepping an upgrade from 2020 Update 4.
I don't know, I guess we could tag team this. I don't know of any like really pressing issues in Update 3. So I think you should be good. Again, you'll probably get access to a lot of new features. But that's about it. That's all. Amir, I don't know if you have anything to add, but
yeah. So we have a what's new documentation that's released for every iteration of our product, more specifically updates, and they will kind of detail defects in previous iterations that have been resolved, as well as what's new in each product iteration. So we can also send that Update 3 documentation in supplement to the follow-up email for this webinar.
Yes, for sure. Thanks, Amir. Thank you, Holly. Anything that we have as far from a technical documentation standpoint, whether it be, KB articles or, any tutorial videos, we will send them out to you as a supplement in our follow-up email that we'll send you for registering to the webinar. So you will all get them. So the What's New Update 3 that Amir was talking about is definitely going to be in that email as well. So we are just waiting on a couple more here. And if there isn't, I'll conclude it in a couple seconds. All right. Okay, great. So I'll conclude it. And if any questions come up as I'm concluding, I'll go ahead and answer it. We'll get them answered as well. But for now, we're going to conclude our Q&A for today. I would like to thank everyone and all of our presenters today once again for their time and insight. Holly, Amir, Nahi, you guys were amazing. Thank you so much for helping us get through this library webinar. And I'm sure that there's a lot of tremendous value that all of our viewers were able to take from today. So thank you again. And we are going to continue with the presentation, but it's just going to be me. So I just want to say goodbye to Holly and Nahi, Amir. And if anyone else has any questions, please go ahead and still use the chat feature. If we have time at the end of the presentation, we'll get to it. If not, then we can always spin up a support ticket for you. Oh, hold on 1 second. There's actually one that came by. Let's bring everybody back to answer this one from Tom. Are there any instructions for Samuel or Kerberos authorization for library? Amir, are you still there? Do you think we can get this one answered?
Absolutely. There should be documentation for SAML authentication as it's a supported configuration / authentication mode for library. So we can also send that in supplement in the follow-up email as well. But yes,
Great.
To answer your question, there is documentation available for SAML authentication for library.
Perfect. Tom, if you came from MicroStrategy and you had registered for the webinar, we do have your email. And after this weekend, we're going to send you a follow-up email with all of these technical documentations, including the question that you just asked that we'll include in there so that you can use it for your resources. Thanks a lot, Tom, for the question. Thank you, Amir, for that buzzer beater of a question.
Anytime.
Appreciate it, man. All right. So going back to our presentation, we're going to conclude the Q&A and we're going to move on and we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about next month, right? So next month is going to be our last webinar for the year as we head into the holiday season. The next webinar we will be hosting, in case you want to save the date, it'll be on November 19th. We like to encourage you to register for our next webinar. Of course, just like you did for this one, it will be streamed live on YouTube as well. But by registering, we get your email, we get your contact information so that we can go ahead and send you any supplement resources that you may need in accordance with our webinar. So the next webinar is going to be on November 19th, not too far from now, about 3 weeks. So it will be a different time at 10 a.m. Eastern. And we're going to talk about discovering MicroStrategy Library mobile SDK capabilities with our experts. So today we talked about how to set up, how to support Library in Web. Now we're going to dive a little bit deeper into talking about how we can use Library Mobile SDK to further customize your intelligence applications. So to register, we have a tiny URL there. We're also going to send out the promotion emails to go ahead and register for this webinar too. So I'll be on the lookout for that. And we have a link to an on-demand access to this video recording in our Top Tips webinar playlist. So we have a lot of useful links that you can use so that if you missed today's webinar, or if you need any resources, you can use those links to go ahead and use. And I want to also let you all know about an additional way that you can learn more about our platform, and that is through our Expert.now service. If you're not familiar with Expert.now, it's our on-demand video conferencing service that allows you to connect with our experts to ask questions and generally just learn more about MicroStrategy. To check it out for yourself, you can click on the Expert.now button anywhere on our website or on our community website to sign up for a free 30-day trial. The trial includes access to our Expert.now service, as well as all our 56 courses and our comprehensive education catalog that are usually available to Architect Education Pass holders only. We've gotten rave reviews about this service, so I really encourage you to check it out. Finally, again, if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to open a support ticket or connect with us on Expert.now. There is one other way you can get enhanced access to our experts on a regular basis, and that is by upgrading to one of our 3 premium support plans. If you'd like to learn more about how you can get these enhanced accesses to our supports from MicroStrategy, please visit our website at microstrategy.com/support. Thank you so much, and we hope that you got a lot of value out of today's session, and that we hope you join us next month in November when we talk about Library Mobile SDK. Everyone have a good day. Have a good weekend. Happy Halloween. Take care. Stay blessed.